Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope you all are doing well. So, this is a message directed to all pro Israeli people. First of all, I have a first question for you. I'm sure most of y'all, or even in fact all of y'all, who support Israel are against what's happening in Ukraine, right? And what's happening in Ukraine is actually far less than what's happening in Palestine right now. What's happening in Palestine is way worse than what's happening in Ukraine. So, my first question to y'all is, first of all, do you support what's happening in Ukraine? And secondly, if you are against Russia, then why are you for Israel, knowing full well that what's happening in Palestine is way worse than what's happening in Ukraine? Palestine has been occupied and getting its land stolen and its civilians killed innocently, and not just innocently, but blatantly as well and purposefully for the last 75 years. If we look at the numbers, over the last 75 years, way more Palestinians have been killed than Israelis. Secondly, now the only argument that the Israelis have is that Israel is their sacred land. But even Jewish rabbis have refuted that fact, saying that there is no sacred land for the Jews. The Jews were meant to go around and wander around the world. Thirdly, if we look at the numbers and if we look at history, obviously there have been the ancient Israelites, the Canaanites, the Philistines, etc., etc. And if we look at history, actually, it's been archaeologically and scientifically, it's been scientifically proven that the modern day Israelis have no relation with the ancient Israelites. But the modern day Palestinians actually have a relation with the ancient Philistines who used to live in that same region. And if we look at the numbers throughout history, Israel has only been created in 1947, so Israel has only existed for 76 years, whilst Palestine has been there for centuries. Way more centuries, like I think more than even a millenary even. So how can you tell us that Israel is supposed to be for the Jews or for the Israelis? Well, number one, the Jews, like the Jews rabbis, they themselves, and actually no other Jew other than the Zionists say that they have a sacred land. And secondly, the Palestinians have been there for over a millenary. So how can you say that this Israel is meant to be for the Jews, is meant to be for the Israelis? It makes no sense. Without the British mandate in 1947, there would be no Israel. There would be no Israel. And that's the truth. That's the harsh truth that a lot of you don't even know or don't even care about. How can you support the genocide of millions of children during 75 years and thousands of children dying each day ever since October 7th? How can you support the genocide of an innocent population that has done nothing, that doesn't even have an army or a police force because it's never been allowed to create one? Yes, Palestine has never been allowed to have a military force or even a police force. How can you support the blockade for a 16-year blockade of the world's most densely populated area known as the Gaza Strip. Imagine 2.3 million Palestinians targeted just because they're living on their own land. Ever since 1948, ever since the Nakba, Israel has been killing innocent Palestinians, and not just that, it's been stealing their land for 75 years, and it's still going. How can you support what's going on in Israel? How can you support Netanyahu's government? And how can you support a terrorist state? If this was any other Muslim state, I'm telling you, or even if it was Russia, again, I'm telling you, all of you would be against this. But just because the majority of Palestinians are all Muslims, or just because the Palestinians are Arabs, you let it be. Your double standards are so sad. It's so sad to see how much double standards you actually have. If this is Ukraine, you're going against Russia every day of the week. But just because it's Palestine, just because it doesn't bring your benefit, and not just that, just because they're Arabs and Muslims, you let it be. You guys, I don't know if you've been blinded by the West, or if you're just purely ignorant, or if you just support genocide. But whatever the case, you are wrong. Now, I know the argument that you have is, oh, Hamas started on October 7th. In 1947, when Israel actually started the occupation, just before the Nakba, there was no Hamas. It was just innocent Palestinians living peacefully. Did you know that the British Mandate was formed by Britain without having consulted the Palestinian leaders of the time? And this all stems back from the Balfour Declaration, where in the Balfour Declaration itself, it says that the Jews have the right to their own land and should exterminate and eliminate all non-Jewish people in said land. First of all, as I said earlier, the Jews were never supposed to have their own land. Never. So first of all, how can you call Israel a Jewish state? Secondly, how can you support Israel? And thirdly, how can you support every day? You see the videos on social media going around about the plight of the Palestinians. How can you support that kind of genocide? And our Muslim leaders today, this is also a message to you. You guys are our source of hope as Muslims. And not just as Muslims, but you're actually the only source of hope that Palestine has for foreign aid. Where are you? Where are you when Palestine needs you the most? Where are you when your own people, they're also Arabs as well, they need you the most? Where are you guys? You guys have to also send in the troops to go fight against the IDF. Just a few days ago, I saw a video of an IDF soldier strangling a Palestinian kid, innocent Palestinian child. You tell me, you really think that a 2-month-old baby would be a Palestinian? A 2-month-old baby would be a terrorist? Do you really believe that a 15-year-old innocent child is a terrorist? Do you believe that pregnant women are terrorists? Is it right to think that even a newborn baby is a terrorist? Israel say they're going up against Hamas, but in reality, they're against every single Palestinian. They are going up against not just Hamas, but every civilian. Every Palestinian civilian that's in there, they're against them. It goes to the point that they even said that the Al-Shifa hospital, the biggest hospital in the Gaza Strip, is actually home to the Hamas headquarters. And they've said that without evidence. Where is the evidence? Bring me true, clear-cut evidence. And I tell you, because there is no evidence, I tell you that if you do bring me evidence, then I will accept your own ideology. But I won't, because there is no evidence at all. There is no evidence about what's happened. Israel is attacking innocent civilians' buildings. Journalists have been killed. Innocent children have been killed. Schools have been targeted. Mosques have been targeted. Churches have been targeted. Houses have been targeted. Even UN refugee camps have been targeted. They're not just against Hamas. No. If you think this is a war against Hamas, then you're out of your mind. We all have to unite against this Israeli occupation force. And actually Hamas was created as a result of the Palestinian frustration towards the Israeli occupation forces. And Hamas has only one goal: to free the Palestinian state, to free the Palestinians. Israel is now not allowing any water, any electricity, any food, any aid, any medical supplies into Gaza. With the fact that food is running out, the Gazans are now facing starvation. With the fact that now there won't be any more clean water, the Gazans are now facing cholera. The fact that now there's no more fuel, no more electricity. The hospitals in Gaza are shutting down slowly. And the few hospitals that are still running are also running out of fuel to keep their generators alive and to keep their generators running. Now here's a question to you. What if now Hamas was actually hiding in Israel? Would they do the same thing to the Israeli territory? Would they do the same thing to their own population? Would they bomb would they bomb civilian buildings and let the people know before? Would they bomb hospitals and tell the guys to take everyone who has intensive care out? No, they wouldn't. I'm telling you, they wouldn't. You cannot support a government that's like this. This is a terrorist government that has unfortunately, and not just a terrorist government, but also a terrorist party. Zionism is a whole party. It's a terrorist party that has unfortunately overtaken the Jewish religion. It's unfortunately taken power in Judaism. And they've changed the Torah to their own way, to their own liking. You guys have to be utterly despicable or disgraceful or disgusting to support these terrorists. I hope this message reaches you all, and you've all been able to hear this message. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.